Joyfully Empowered is about feeling uplifted, inspired, and connected to your intuition. This is a place where dreams are possible, cups are half full, and community is solid. Topics include leadership, feminine wealth, spirituality, intuition, manifestation, and our sacred work. This is where bold self-starters and high achievers come to refill their je ne sais quoi to continue spreading a little magic to the world. I am Stephanie Verchot, a spicy Latina, mom, and relentless about supporting people achieving their dreams by following their intuition. Welcome to Joyfully Empowered, my friends. Today's episode is going to be amazing. I'm going to talk all about executive presence as a woman, right? And really this concept of like being magnetic, it's like magnetism over force, how to own the room, how to embody your executive presence as a woman. And this can really be for both women that are in corporate or also women that are business owners, or just even if you're not in like a career setting. Executive presence is just really becoming authentic, magnetic, powerful, right? It's commanding the room with your energy. It isn't about how you look or your words, although, yes, that influences your executive presence, but it's how do you show up, basically, the most you. And I think so, to get it started, a lot of us, and maybe this is like old school, older generation, but it's like to have presence, you need to be louder or more aggressive or constantly proving yourself and showcasing what you have done to feel worthy to have a comment, to be like, oh my God, I was up all night and this is what I found out, or I've been working all weekend and this were my discoveries. How about removing all of the pre work and just stating what is? Adding the fact that, or starting any conversation with a fact is going to anchor the conversation in a fact, and it's going to make you way more anchored and strong in what you are saying. But outside of that, or having that as the intro, people respond to magnetism way more than they do with force. So I remember when I was in my corporate days working at really big organizations and corporations like L'Oreal. This was like over 10 years ago. And it was very much like wear a suit, have your hair perfect, have perfect makeup, perfect nails, always wear heels. It was like the era of like, just, yeah, suits, and just like very had to look a certain way to be being taken seriously. And now owning a business, I have not worn a suit in so long. I'm not against suits. And again, this isn't about clothing, but it's an example that I'm here to make. Back then, thinking that you had to wear certain clothing or look a certain way in order to have an executive presence, it's so not true, because now that I'm the owner of a really successful business, I work with founders that own, multi-million dollar brands. I work with people that have truly created success and impact in the world. I don't wear a suit. I am very specific in the way that I look, and what I wear. But because my energy and my words and who I am is so solid, that my executive presence is through the roof, right? Because I can pull people in through my confidence, through my energy, through my authenticity to being who I am, instead of forcing people to notice based on what I think it's like my clothing, how I look, how my nails are, and all the other things, right? So I want to share with you a few tips today on how you can start nurturing and grounding yourself and nurturing your executive presence. One of them, yes, it's about clothing, but the rest of them is really about nurturing and strengthening your confidence, your authenticity, and your energy. So, first things first, before entering a room or recording a podcast or having a client conversation, ground yourself, right? Take 30 seconds to to ground your energy, to ground your thoughts, right? I love asking myself, what energy do I want to bring into the space, right? Like if something challenging happening, if I get into an argument or whatever it might be, if I'm stressed out and I'm not grounding my energy before I get on a call with one of my clients or before I record a podcast or before I show up, it's going to be felt, right? So grounding your energy is, what energy do I want to bring? That's why I love and I bring in like EFT tapping, because a lot of times the energy can feel really intense and you still have to go to the meeting. I still have to get on a call with my client, but being able to tap myself, tap a little bit and do EFT tapping. If you're watching this on video, you can see me doing it right now. But in essence, you're tapping different points in the body, right? I'm safe. I get to be seen. I get to express my thoughts, my ideas. I am okay. I love the affirmation of I am safe. I am okay. Immediately begins to shift the energy. Okay. Executive presence is probably like 80 or 90% energy, 15, 20, 10% presence or speech, right? So visualizing yourself as the anchor of the room. I love to do a visualization when I visualize like the bottom of my feet touching through the ground and the earth, right? So I'm not just like flimsy, little fluffy little feet, anchor feet. I am grounding to Mother Earth, right? So that's actually really important, feeling anchored. The third tip is using stillness. I don't mean not talking and not sharing. I'm saying use stillness as a power tool. You enter the room, you are anchored, and you move deliberately. I talk very fast because yo soy latina y yo hablamos así rápido. Es como que parte de lo que somos. Pero, but I have noticed, I'm saying I'm Latina, I talk really fast, and that's like part of our culture. We talk fast, we have a million things to say, la, la, la. Okay, great. But when I am having a coaching session, when I'm here on my podcast, when I am speaking, I am deliberate. I allow for pauses, right? You're not having fast, frantic movements that can leak your power, right? We're not like, this is what we're doing. That can be very frantic energy. We are grounded, we are stilled, we are anchored, right? Stillness creates sense of control. You're controlling the room. You are asking for deliberate, magnetic attention. Side note, women, if you're in relationships with a man, when we are frantic, this is like little pin parentheses, side note, when we are frantic, we're cleaning the house, we're doing a million things, we're not stopping, we have a million to-do list. That makes us look very frantic and fast and just chaotic to our partners. So if you're trying to increase your sexy time and the romance in your relationships, be still. You can still have things to do, but be not still, but be deliberate in the actions that you are taking. Now, the fourth tip is being clear, right? It's like clarity over complexity. A lot of times as women, we feel the need to like over explain ourselves or give like a back end to validate why we feel the way we do. You speak with structure, right? So practice. This is a good little formula. You have one clear point. I recommend that the marketing strategy is such, right? A brief example, right? I have seen in the past when our marketing strategy is focused on our top sellers, our, sell through increases, right? And then you can do an optional takeaway, right? So I recommend we do an A/B testing on the marketing strategy in order to get the results we want to get, right? So the formula is you have one clear point, one brief example, and a takeaway. Those three things, it's like a structure, clear, concise way to express your thoughts. That is executive presence. We're not drowning ourselves in the never ending, I don't know, figure eight of trying to explain what we mean. It's clear, concise, and to the point, right? Now, something that I really want you to practice is the next step is or tip is eye contact. I went to a comedy show last night and I cannot believe this is something that people are doing. I have a good friend and she's a comedian. So every once in a while, me and my other friend, who's her cousin, we go to her comedy shows in the city. Great. We went to one last night and I cannot believe one of the people on stage had pulled up her phone and she was reading the jokes off her phone. There was zero eye connection. And I was like, oh my God, I can't even look at like what is happening, right? I mean, I think personally, if you're going to be a stand up comedian, like memorize, I don't know, figure out how to memorize stuff. Anyways, executive presence, right? Look into the camera. I know that a lot of us are virtual right now. So when you're looking at the person, you're not looking at like the camera. So it doesn't look like you're making eye connection. I purposely look at the camera and I'm not looking at myself or the person. So it feels for the person that I'm looking them in the eye, right? So that's a tip. Look at your laptop screen, your little dot on the top in the middle as a way to really make eye connection when they're talking to you versus looking at yourself or at them on the screen and it doesn't look like you're making eye connection. Hold the connection longer than it feels comfortable, right? That's how you are claiming your space. You are claiming your camera, your space, you're claiming your presence, okay? Now, I have two tips left. The next tip is that I want to tell you, I want to reaffirm, I want to like let it be known that feminine presence is so powerful. You don't have to act masculine and be a certain way in order to be taken seriously. This is like soft power, which is warmth, grace, um, flirtiness, not flirtiness that you're like, you're trying to flirt and trying to like, you know, not be like above board, but meaning like, yes, be sensual, be in your feminine power, right? That is so powerful. It's a silent strength that women have in order to move conversations forward. Be flirting with life, be flirting with what you are presenting. Feel that feminine flirtiness in the sensuality that you are presenting. That's a silent strength, right? Use your identity, unapologetic, right? If you are Latina, if you have a multicultural background like I do, I used to try when I was younger, try to like hide my accent and like trying to come across more American. It's like, no, I am not, right? I am Latina, hablo español, like I'm also Swiss, I speak French, like I have a multicultural background. I have an accent when I speak, right? And a lot of people, most people, if not everybody, loves that. Where are you from? Tell me about where you're from. What is that accent? They're conversation starters, right? These are your superpowers, your heritage, your feminine power, your intuition, where you come from, what you do, who you are, like all of that. That's your identity, right? I remember years ago, I went through a phase that I used to wear red lipstick everywhere. It was like my signature, loved it. I might bring it back. And I remember I was talking to a friend and she was like, Steph, maybe you should tone down that red lipstick. It might be a little too much, girl. And I was like, absolutely not. That is my signature. I love it. Maybe it's intimidating. Maybe it's too much, whatever it is. I feel really good with my red lipstick. And I did. And I wore it for a long time, right? Now, the last tip is about the clothing, right? Because that was the thing that I was like, we're not making executive presence has nothing to do with the clothing, with the clothes that you wear. But what I want to talk about your clothes is choose what you wear based on how you want to feel. Okay. Sometimes that is a suit. Sometimes that's a dress. Sometimes that is jeans with a tank top. I'm wearing like a super colorful sweater with like toucans and parrots on them, and I love it. And I am like, if I would get a call from a founder, like, I'm in the middle of a contract with another company to work with to do executive coaching, and she were to call me today, I would feel like I have executive presence, even though I'm wearing like jeans, sneakers, and a bright, sweater with toucans on it. That's my executive presence because I feel really good in what I'm wearing. I love what I'm wearing today. I feel good. I feel sexy. I feel powerful. I feel playful. I feel joyful, right? your physical presence is going to tell a story before you speak. But it's not just about like the labels or the brand or where you're buying. It's how you feel in your clothes. I tell that to my daughter all the time. She puts something on and she's like, Mama, I look so beautiful. I tell her all the time she looks beautiful, but now she's speaking, Mama, I feel so beautiful with my dress. And I say, yes, little girl, but remember, we are learning to feel beautiful and powerful and confident no matter what you're wearing. Yes, of course, sometimes you wear something that's going to make you feel extra beautiful, but with your pajamas or with your dress or with whatever it is you're on, we always want to feel beautiful in our skin, right? And that you can wear whatever clothes from whatever brand and have like the most luxurious, beautiful, expensive brand. If you don't feel confident in who you are and the message that you're bringing forth, that's going to showcase in your clothes, right? Or you can wear clothes that are not like your typical executive clothing, but you feel really confident and authentic, and you know what you're speaking is your truth and it's a value and what you want to share. Super confident, right? So dress for how you want to feel, and that it matches your brand, your message, the services, what you're trying to sell or propose or share, right? So executive presence isn't something that you are going to be chasing. This is something that you are embodying. This is something that you already have inside of you. It's not about changing who you are. It's about expanding and nurturing your most grounded, magnetic, authentic part of you. It's about trusting that who you are is already more than enough. Practice all the tips, practice some of the tips. Let me know how this, what you thought about this. Share with a friend or a colleague or somebody in your life that you know this would be so helpful. Comment on this and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I would love to hear what you thought of this episode. You can also send me a DM on Instagram at stephanievershow.com and tell me your biggest takeaway. I want to hear from you. I hope this was so helpful. It was so wonderful connecting with you on executive presence and as a woman, right? And being able that you practice, that you showcase it, that you show up. Have an incredible week. Thank you for listening, and I will see you so soon in another episode of Joyfully Empowered. Take care, my friends.